The sun was already slipping down the copper sky when Rin sealed the clinic doors. The air outside shimmered like liquid fire. Inside, the small creature, the Lumet, as Nira whispered its name, slept in a folded towel, its faint glow breathing in rhythm with hers. Rin leaned on the counter, mind spinning. He had treated miners burned, crushed, shot, even irradiated once. But this? A living being born from another species back? It defied every page of medical science he knew. Tell me what they did to you, he said finally. Nirax sat by the table, her violet eyes distant. The Vrax, she murmured. Scientists. Soldiers. They study life to control it. They took me 6 months ago. Her voice cracked, but she pushed on. They wanted to see how much a cerulean body could carry. They put something inside. I thought it was poison. Then it grew. Ren's stomach twisted. And that? He nodded at the small creature. That's what they created? Nira nodded. They wanted a weapon. A living code. But it changed. It did not obey them. It reached for me instead. I escaped. Before Rin could respond, the clinic lights flickered. A low hum vibrated through the floor. Then came the unmistakable sound of engines, smooth, not mining rigs. Precision hums, like predatory insects. Nira froze. They found me. Rin didn't ask how. He grabbed the stunner in his med bag. Back door. Now. She hesitated only long enough to scoop the Lumet into the towel. The creature stirred, eyes opening, faint lines of light crawling under its translucent skin. Outside, the desert wind cut like glass. The sky glowed deep orange, and dust rolled across the flat plains of the colony. Rin's rover sat half-buried near the fence. He threw the supplies into the back and started the engine. It roared weakly but obeyed. Hold on, he said, flooring the accelerator. The clinic shrank behind them. Then it exploded in white light. The blast threw dust high into the air, forming a mushroom of glowing sand. Nira gasped. They destroyed it. Rin gritted his teeth. Then they're serious. He drove toward the old mining tunnels, miles of carved rock that snaked beneath the colony, long abandoned after the ore ran out. The scanners on the dash blinked red, then died completely as they crossed the ridge. Good, Rin muttered. This rock messes with signals. They descended into the dark. The rover's lights cast a pale beam across the tunnel walls, glittering with flecks of reflective minerals. Finally, when the heat gauges dropped, Rin stopped. We'll rest here. Nira climbed out carefully, the Lumet cradled against her chest. It opened its eyes, and for a moment, the tunnel glowed faintly with its light, gentle, living, warm. Rin couldn't look away. It's beautiful. Nira smiled faintly. It trusts you. Why me, he asked. Because you helped it live, she said softly. The Vrax do not understand that. They create to use. Humans create to save. The Lumet chirped, a soft, echoing tone that felt like a heartbeat. Rin crouched closer. It's responding to us, he said. Almost like communication. Nira nodded. Our minds touch when it sings. Feel it. He didn't understand until it happened. The Lumet brushed its tiny hand against his wrist, and warmth spread through his arm. Then came flashes, not words, but sensations. Dust, fire, fear, then a pulse of safety. Rin gasped and pulled back. It's reading me. It's feeling you, Nira corrected gently. It learns through emotion. Rin stared at the glowing creature. No wonder they're chasing you. This thing could change everything. A rumble echoed through the tunnels. Far away, but coming closer. The sound of engines, mechanical claws, and heavy steps. Nira's eyes widened. They follow the signal of the birth. We must move deeper. Rin nodded, tossing gear into the rover. There's an abandoned depot about 8 clicks in. Heavy shielding in the walls. They sped deeper into the maze of rock, lights slicing through darkness. The Lumet nestled against Nira, its glow brightening when fear rose in the cabin, as if it understood and wanted to protect them. At last, they reached a wide cavern lined with ancient mining cranes and broken rail carts. This will do, Rin said. He killed the lights, and the engine settled into silence. Only the faint hum of the Lumet remained. Its glow reflected on the steel beams, turning the tunnel into a dream of blue light and shadow. Rin leaned against the rover, breathing hard. You've brought me into something big, Nira. She looked at him, a strange mix of exhaustion and hope on her face. No, doctor, she whispered. Something bigger found you. The Lumet blinked once, and for a brief instant, Rin could swear he heard a whisper, not in sound, but in his head. Family. He froze. Nira met his eyes, stunned. You heard it too? Rin nodded slowly. Outside the cavern, engines roared again, closer this time. Their sanctuary had just become a trap. The tunnels had grown cold. The air felt older here, still, metallic, full of ghosts from the mining days. Rin guided the rover carefully through the jagged passage. The lights flickered, throwing quick flashes across Nira's worried face. The Lumet lay in her arms, breathing slow, its glow fading and brightening like a heartbeat made of light. They won't stop, Nira whispered. The Vraks always finish what they start. Rin gripped the controls tighter. Then we don't give them the chance. The tunnel forked ahead. He turned left, trusting instinct more than maps. The colony blueprints he remembered ended miles ago. Out here, the tunnels twisted like veins under the planet's skin. A sudden flash reflected on the tunnel wall, a shimmer of metal. Rin hit the brakes. The rover skidded to a halt. Something moved in the darkness ahead. Stay down, he said quietly. A shape stepped into the beam of light. Thin, tall, not human. Its skin was pale gray, almost translucent, with faint lines that pulsed under the surface. Its large eyes caught the light like mirrors. The figure raised both hands, palms open. Do not shoot, it said, voice smooth and trembling. I am not with them. Nira gasped. Vraks. The figure shook its head quickly. Not anymore. My name is Naren. I escaped them, same as you. Ren's finger hovered near the trigger of his stunner. Convince me. If I meant harm, you'd already be dead, Naren said softly. They're minutes behind you. But I can take you somewhere safe. Nira stepped forward cautiously, the Lumet's glow illuminating her features. How do we know you speak truth? The little creature chirped once, its skin pulsing with light. Then, unexpectedly, it reached out a tiny arm toward Naren. Rin felt a brief wave of warmth in his mind. Calm, steady, certain. Truth. He exchanged a look with Nira. It trusts him, she said. We should too. Rin sighed. Lead the way, Naren. But one wrong move. You'll shoot, Naren finished. Understandable. They followed him deeper into the labyrinth, the tunnels narrowing and twisting until they reached a small chamber sealed by an old blast door. Naren pressed his hand against a control panel, and the heavy door hissed open. Inside lay a forgotten research station, dust-covered but functional. Lights flickered to life as emergency power hummed through the walls. This place is off every map, Naren explained. It was used during the first wave of mining before the Vraks repurposed the sector. They never found it again. Rin set down his medbag and looked around. Shelves of dusty equipment, broken monitors, and a few functional consoles. You've been hiding here? For months. Naren's voice dropped. I was one of the lead biologists on Project Nexus. I helped design the genetic template they put inside her. Nira stiffened. Her hand moved protectively around the Lumet. You did this to me? I designed the framework, Naren said quickly, eyes full of regret. But not the implantation. That decision came from command. I left when I realized what they intended, to create a living weapon that could merge with organic life, adapt instantly, and control energy fields. Rin looked at the Lumet, now sitting on the table, blinking curiously at them. You mean this little one? Naren nodded. Yes. It's meant to bridge the gap between machine and mind. It can connect to any system, override it, or learn from it. It's the most dangerous thing we've ever made. The Lumet chirped again and crawled closer to Rin, resting its glowing hands on his sleeve. The touch sent a rush of feelings, curiosity, safety, affection. Rin smiled faintly. Doesn't seem dangerous to me. That's because it's bonding, Naren said. It learns from emotion. If it had bonded to the Vraks, it would have become a weapon. But it bonded to her, and to you. Nira stared at the creature. Then it has a choice? Apparently, Naren said. And that's what terrifies them. The words hung in the stale air. For a long moment, no one spoke. Only the hum of the old generators filled the silence. Then the Lumet's glow brightened suddenly, flashing patterns across the walls. It turned its head toward the sealed door, eyes wide and fearful. Rin felt the echo in his mind. Coming. Danger. Close. Naren cursed softly. They found us. Their scanners must have picked up the energy signature from the creature's last surge. Rin grabbed his stunner. Is there another exit? There's a maintenance shaft, Nirax said, pointing to a side wall. It leads deeper, to the old magma tunnels. Nirax cradled the Lumet, who chirped anxiously. It's afraid. Rin knelt beside it. So am I, but we'll keep you safe. He turned to Nirax. If you're lying, I'll know before I pull the trigger. Nirax's expression softened. I don't blame you. But if we stay, none of us will live long enough to argue. The sound of engines echoed down the tunnels again, louder this time. Rin looked once more at the glowing creature. You're the reason they're here, he murmured. But maybe you're also the reason we'll survive. The Lumet looked up, its eyes bright as stars, and Rin felt one last clear thought pulse through his mind. Run. They did. The old maintenance tunnel spat them out into a canyon of rust-colored stone. The air outside was sharp and cold, the horizon cracked with jagged cliffs. Rin squinted against the wind. In the distance, the colony shimmered like a patchwork of metal and dust. They had been driving for hours, deeper and deeper into the wasteland, until the tunnels had ended in light. The rover's battery blinked red. Fuel low. Options lower. We can't keep running, Rin said, pulling the rover to a stop behind a boulder. Nirax held the Lumet close. The small being stirred, blinking awake. They'll follow the signal, she whispered. They always find what they made. Nirax adjusted the cracked screen of a portable scanner. They will, yes. But maybe we can find allies before they do. Rin frowned. Allies? Out here. Nirax gave a small, grim smile. You forget, Doctor. Miners built this world before scientists claimed it. And miners don't like being told what to do. They followed a narrow trail until the canyon widened into a vast basin of metal platforms and cranes. Half-buried vehicles rested under tarps. It looked like a scrapyard, until movement caught Ren's eye. A massive figure stepped out from behind a hauler, wiping grease from his hands. Broad shoulders, one arm still in a cast. Geordi. Doc Hale, the man shouted, disbelief and amusement mixing in his tone. What in the frozen moons happened to you? Ren exhaled in relief. Long story, but I need your help, Geordi. Badly. Geordi's gaze shifted to Nirax and the small, glowing creature in her arms. New patient. Something like that, Ren said. And a whole army's after us. That got the miners' attention. Within minutes, a dozen of them surrounded the rover. Faces lined with sun and grit, tools slung like weapons. Ren explained everything quickly. The experiments, the pursuit, the Vrax ships. He left nothing out. When he finished, silence settled heavy over the group. Finally, Geordi spat in the dust. So, these Vrax think they can come to our colony, grab what they want, and burn the rest? Ren nodded grimly. That's exactly what they plan to do. Geordi cracked a smile, slow and dangerous. Then they picked the wrong dirt rats to mess with. Laughter rippled through the miners. They weren't soldiers. But out here, they didn't need to be. Within an hour, the scrapyard turned into a workshop of fury and invention. Ren watched as Geordi and his crew rewired mining drills, flipped polarity regulators, and welded armor plates to excavation rigs. Sparks flew. Voices shouted. The sound of defiance echoed across the basin. Nirax watched in disbelief. They're converting our machines into weapons. Ren shrugged. That's what humans do. We improvise. Nearby, Nirax sat under the shadow of a crane. The Lumet rested in her lap, its glow faint but steady. She stroked its smooth head gently. It's tired, she said softly. But it feels proud. Ren crouched beside her. It understands what's happening? Yes, she murmured. It feels your people's resolve. Your unity. That is something the Vrax can't reproduce. Ren smiled faintly. Maybe that's our only real weapon. Before she could answer, a rumble shook the air. Distant at first, then closer. Thunder without clouds. Geordi climbed onto a crate, peering through binoculars. Dust storm coming fast, he said. Then his tone darkened. No, not a storm. Ships. The horizon shimmered with dark shapes, sleek, black, and flying low. Nirax paled. They found us. The miners didn't panic. They moved faster. Ren grabbed his med bag and checked the rover's charge. We can't fight from open ground. Then we fight underground, Geordi said, grinning. He pointed to an old shaft opening nearby. Leads to the lower tunnels, the earth fields. Thick rock walls. Scanners can't penetrate there. Nirax stood, clutching the Lumet. You'll come with us? Geordi looked at the miners. We built this colony with our hands. If the Vrax want it, they'll have to dig it out of our bones. Rin's throat tightened. He had patched these people up, cursed them for their recklessness, laughed with them at the bar. Now they were preparing to die for him, and for something they barely understood. They loaded into the haulers and drove toward the shaft. Dust rose behind them like smoke. At the entrance, Rin looked back one last time. The setting sun cast long shadows across the desert, and high above, faint lights streaked the sky. Enemy dropships breaking through the atmosphere. Nira followed his gaze. "You don't have to do this," she said. Rin met her eyes. "Neither do you. But here we are." The Lumet stirred, pressing a glowing hand against Rin's wrist. A whisper formed in his thoughts, clear and bright. "Together." He smiled. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Together." As the first Vrax ships pierced the clouds, the miners vanished beneath the earth. Humans, alien, and living light. The fight for New Haven Ridge had begun. The tunnels of New Haven Ridge trembled as drills roared and engines echoed through the underground city. Humans had turned darkness into defiance. Floodlights flickered, cutting through the dust. The miners of the colony worked like soldiers, their faces streaked with grease and grit, hands flying over machines that were never meant for war. Rin moved between them, his medical coat long abandoned, sleeves rolled up. He helped weld plates, patch circuits, and reload improvised sonic cannons. Every sound carried purpose: clang, hiss, spark, hum. Humanity in motion. Nira watched them with silent awe. "Your people are extraordinary," she murmured. Rin smiled faintly. "We're stubborn. That's our superpower." The Lumet perched nearby, now nearly half the height of a child. Its glow filled the command tunnel, casting moving shadows on the stone walls. It had begun to mimic gestures, copying Ren's smile, Nira's tilt of the head. But beneath its gentle eyes was awareness, a mind growing faster than any of them could grasp. Suddenly, the colony's emergency siren wailed. Geordie's voice cracked over the calm. "Vrax ships in orbit. 4 of them. They're deploying drop pods." Rin turned to Nira. "They found us again." She nodded grimly. "They always find what they claim." Naren ran into the chamber, breathless. "We have maybe an hour before they land. The command vessel carries a tactical unit, Commander Trask's elite. He doesn't negotiate." "Then we don't either." Geordie growled through the calm. "We dig in and make him regret it." But Rin wasn't listening. His mind was already racing ahead. Every defense they had would only slow the Vrax, not stop them. They needed something bigger, something that would make an attack politically impossible. He looked at Nira. Her gaze met his instantly, as if she already knew. "There is a way," she whispered. Naren turned sharply. "You mean the accord?" "Yes," she said. "A unity accord between our species. If I bond with Rin under Cerulean law, this colony becomes a recognized Cerulean interest. Attacking it would mean open war with my people." Rin blinked. "A political marriage. In my culture, unity is more than politics," Nira said softly. "It's a declaration of trust. 2 souls joined to represent harmony between worlds. The Vrax respect no treaty, but they fear the Cerulean fleet." Geordie's voice returned on the calm. "Doc, whatever you're planning, make it quick. They'll be dropping in 30 minutes. Rin took Nira's hand. "If we do this, we have to broadcast it. The Vrax must see it. So must your people. The Lumet can amplify the signal," Naren said. "It can link our systems with Cerulean diplomatic channels." The creature chirped as if in agreement. It touched a comm terminal, and light flared from its fingertips, spreading across the console like liquid code. Rin felt a pulse in his mind. Images, impressions, stars, networks, and the shared heartbeat of 2 species. The Lumet was reaching far beyond the colony, whispering to the void. Nira stepped closer to Rin. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dim light. "Once the bond is complete, there's no reversal." Rin smiled. "I think the universe already made that decision for us." They stood before the Lumet, which now glowed like a living sun. Naren began to recite the Cerulean words, his voice trembling with old reverence. "By the joining of heart and purpose, by the will to stand as one, let the accord bind the souls of different stars." Rin repeated the words. Nira followed. When their voices met, the Lumet extended its hands, resting one on each of them. The air shimmered. Warmth spread through Ren's chest, deeper than touch, deeper than thought. For a heartbeat, He saw through Nira's eyes, her fear, her hope, her fierce loyalty. She saw his in return, humanity's stubborn fire. The Lumet released them and stepped back. Its glow flared bright, then steadied. The connection was complete. On the console, an alert blinked to life. Transmission successful. Cerulean Council notified. Naren exhaled. It's done. The accord is recognized in their system. Rin squeezed Nira's hand. Then we have a chance. A voice boomed from the calm, cold, and metallic. Human settlement. This is Commander Trask of the Vrax Dominion. You are harboring stolen property. Surrender the cerulean female and the experimental organism. Fail, and your colony will be erased. Rin stared at the speaker. Patch me through. When the connection opened, he spoke evenly. Commander, you're too late. The Cerulean Confederation now recognizes New Haven Ridge as allied territory. Any attack on us is an act of war. Trask's voice sharpened. Lies. The Confederation would never. Verify it. Nira interrupted. The Unity Accord is official. My genetic signature confirms it. Silence followed, broken only by static. Then Trask hissed. This changes nothing. Rin smiled grimly. It changes everything. Outside, streaks of fire fell through the clouds, Vrax pods entering the atmosphere. The miners readied their weapons. The Lumet turned toward Run and Nira, its voice brushing their minds like a soft whisper. Protect. Together. Rin nodded. Let's give them something they'll never forget. The battle for New Haven Ridge was about to begin. And now, it wasn't just humanity's fight, it was the birth of an alliance. The sky above the colony burned with falling fire. Vrax drop pods streaked through the clouds, leaving glowing scars across the horizon. Each impact sent shockwaves through the ground, shaking the metal bones of the settlement. Dust rained from the ceiling of the command tunnel. Rin stood before the colony map, jaw tight. They're landing on the northern ridge, he said, right on top of the ventilation shafts. Geordie's voice came through the calm, rough and steady. We've got drills in place, document. The moment they touch ground, we turn the earth under their feet into hell. Rin nodded, switching channels. Security sectors 2 and 3. Keep civilians underground. Everyone else, prepare for breach. The miners didn't need speeches. They had lived through cave-ins, gas leaks, and starvation. Fighting invaders was just another shift. Above them, thunder rolled. Not weather, but engines. The first wave of Vrax soldiers hit the outer barrier, their sleek armor glowing green under the harsh lights. They moved in perfect formation, machine-precise and silent. Then came the human response, chaotic, loud, and beautiful. Sonic drills screamed as they powered up. Rewired or cannons fired bursts of molten dust. The Persuader, Geordie's monstrous mining rig, roared out of its hangar. Its drills reversed to emit vibrations strong enough to shatter metal. The sound tore through the valley. The ground itself trembled. Rin watched from the command post's viewport as the Vrax formation broke. Their shield harmonics twisted and failed. Sparks flashed across their armor. Beautiful, Geordie shouted over the radio. They're running hotter than my ex-wife's temper. Rin almost smiled. Keep pushing them back. We just need time. In the main chamber, Nira worked with Naren, rerouting power through the communication arrays. If we boost the Lumet's connection, she said, the Cerulean fleet will see what's happening here in real time. Already working on it, Naren replied, his long fingers dancing across the controls. But the Vrax are jamming frequencies. The Lumet, now almost the size of a small child, walked forward. Its eyes glowed fiercely, reflecting the chaos outside. It placed both hands on the console. The lights flickered, and then every screen in the colony came alive. Images poured in, real-time feeds of the battle, data streams, communication relays. The Lumet's energy pulsed through the network, clearing interference like wind through smoke. Rin's earpiece buzzed. Doc, you seeing this? Geordie shouted. That little glowing buddy of yours just turned our comms into a miracle. Rin grinned. Good. Let's make it count. But the Vrax weren't finished. A shadow crossed the sky, a massive command ship descending through the clouds, engines shaking the air. Its underbelly opened, revealing a weapon array that could level the colony in one blast. Trask's ship, Naren said grimly. If he fires, everything here dies. Rin clenched his fists. Then we stop him. The Persuader's close enough, Geordie said. If we overload its power core, we can send a resonance wave straight into that ship's hull. But it'll cook everyone nearby. Rin hesitated. You'd be sacrificing yourself. Geordi laughed. Doc, I break bones for a living. Today I'll break something that deserves it. Static hissed, then his voice softened. You take care of our colony, you hear? And that blue lady of yours. The line went dead. Rin's throat tightened. Outside, the Persuader charged forward, engines roaring. The massive machine collided with the command ship's landing gear. A blinding wave of blue-white light erupted, shaking the entire valley. For a moment, everything was silent. Then the command ship's hull cracked apart like ice. Fire streaked across the sky. In the aftermath, the Lumet stumbled, its glow flickering. Rin caught it in his arms. Stay with me, he whispered. The creature looked up, eyes filled with light and thought. Protect. Finish. It reached toward the console one last time. The communication array surged, sending a signal into the stars, an encoded cerulean distress beacon amplified by human systems. Nira felt the echo through the bond. It's calling them, she whispered. The fleet. Outside, the surviving Vrax forces regrouped, their ranks thinning but relentless. Then a new light appeared in the sky, dozens of sleek, silver-blue vessels dropping out of warp. Cerulean ships. Their arrival split the heavens. Energy beams cut through the atmosphere, scattering the remaining Vrax dropships. The invaders began to retreat, their comms filled with panic. Rin looked up at the screens, disbelief washing over him. They came. Nira's voice trembled. The accord was recognized. The Lumet blinked once more, faintly. Then its glow dimmed, fading to a soft pulse. It rested against Ren's chest, still but peaceful. It saved us, Nira whispered. Ren nodded, tears stinging his eyes. No, it saved everyone. Outside, the Vrax command ship broke apart, its flames dying in the cold light of two suns. The sky above New Haven Ridge was no longer a battlefield, but the birthplace of something greater. A bond. A promise. A beginning. Morning came slowly to New Haven Ridge. The air carried the bitter tang of burned metal and ozone, but also something new, silence. The kind of silence that follows survival. The Vrax were gone. Their ships scattered, their weapons shattered across the dunes. Rin stood on the colony's main platform, watching the smoke rise in thin spirals toward a pale, double sunrise. His uniform was torn, his hands still shaking from the hours of battle and rescue, but his eyes were alive. The colony still stood. Humanity still stood. Behind him, the miners cheered. They weren't soldiers, but they had fought like legends. Geordi's team had lost men, but their stories already passed from mouth to mouth, growing brighter with each retelling. Doc, a voice shouted. He turned to see Naren hurrying toward him, his gray skin pale under the harsh light. The Cerulean fleet requests contact, Naren said. Their high envoy insists on speaking to you and Nira directly. Rin nodded. Then let's not keep them waiting. Inside the command dome, the air shimmered with a soft, blue holographic glow. A tall Cerulean appeared, skin darker than Nira's, hair silvered with age, and eyes that carried both authority and kindness. Dr. Rin Hale, the envoy said, and Nira Telsar, you have my gratitude. The unity accord you formed was received by our council. Your actions prevented a war that might have consumed half the sector. Nira bowed her head. We only did what was necessary. The envoy smiled faintly. You did more than that. You proved something neither of our species had dared believe. That unity can be born not from treaties or councils, but from trust. Rin exhaled slowly. The credit isn't ours. It's the Lumet. The envoy's expression softened. The creature's signal guided our ships here. Without it, we would have arrived too late. Rin looked at Nira. She stood beside the console, the faint blue of the monitors reflecting in her violet eyes. It gave everything to save us, she whispered. Naren lowered his head. Project Nexus was meant to create a weapon. Instead, it created a bridge. Outside, the colony stirred with new life. Engineers salvaged what was left of the Vrax technology. Miners repaired the ore haulers, already talking about how to rebuild the tunnels stronger, safer. Humans had a way of turning even war into work. Nira watched them with quiet wonder. Your people face ruin and think only of rebuilding, she said softly. On my world, we mourn first. Rin smiled. Maybe we just don't know how to stop. A small chirp interrupted them. They turned, and there, on the table beside the console, the Lumette's containment cloth stirred. Faint light glowed beneath it. Rin froze. It can't be. The glow brightened, weak but steady. Then two small eyes blinked open. The Lumette lifted its head, tired but alive. Nira gasped, tears shining in her eyes. It survived. The creature reached a trembling hand toward them, touching both their palms at once. A gentle pulse rippled through the air, not words, but a feeling that filled the room like light. Family. Peace. Begin. Ren's throat tightened. Yeah, he said quietly. We'll begin. The envoy's voice came through the calm, reverent. Our scientists will never touch it again. The Lumette belongs with you, Dr. Hale, and with her. Together, you represent what our galaxies can become. Later that day, the colony square turned into a celebration. Humans and ceruleans stood side by side under twin suns. Miners offered mugs of glowing ale to alien diplomats who didn't quite know how to drink it. Laughter rolled across the dusty streets. Rin and Nira stood at the edge of the crowd, the Lumette perched on Nira's shoulder like a tiny guardian of light. So, Rin said, watching the horizon where cerulean ships hovered like silver birds, what now? Nira smiled. Now we build something new. Together. Humans and ceruleans? More than that, she said, touching his arm gently. We build a home where difference is strength, where no one is made in chains. Rin looked at her, at the colony that had risen from war, at the small being that pulsed softly with life and hope. Sounds like the start of something big. It already is, she whispered. As the suns climbed higher, the colony lights flickered back to full power. The burned sand gleamed gold. Cerulean banners fluttered beside the Earth Alliance flag, two colors dancing in the wind. Rin took Nira's hand, the Lumette glowing warmly between them. Somewhere far above, in the quiet dark between stars, a new message spread through space. Human and cerulean frequencies entwined. Not a warning, not a weapon, a signal of peace. And with that, under the twin suns of New Haven Ridge, the legend of humanity's defiance became something greater. Not just survival. Hope.